Vice President J.D. Vance is the frontrunner in the 2028 GOP primary. When looking at the latest polling, he hovers anywhere around 40 to 50% in the national popular vote for the Republican nomination, putting him well ahead in a crowded field. Kamala Harris slightly leads Pete Buttigieg for the Democratic nomination and has slowly been coming down in primary polling, putting her just 4 points ahead in the nomination polling. Today, I want to look at an electoral map with these two tickets and also seeing some good news for the Trump administration. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. Looking at some of the economic data, you can see comparing the first 4 months of 2025 across the 3 years, personal income growth is significantly higher than what it was in 2024 and 2023, showing that 2025 is off to a stronger start and more robust economic environment compared to the last 2 years, and all of the economic metrics are beating expectations. If we look here, we can also see on Thursday, the Atlanta Federal Reserve hiked its GDP now forecast for Q2 growth from 2.2% to 3.8%, which is a really big difference. And the consumer confidence index jumped to 98 points in May, up from 86 in April, mostly because of the tariffs and the effects of the tariffs as well. That's the strongest gain since the pandemic years and a clear sign that the public is starting to believe in the economy again. The backbone of this recovery is consumer spending, which makes up nearly 70% of GDP. When confidence rises, wallets open, and right now people are just optimistic. They're earning more, and personal income has risen in April, January, March, and February. And so we've had 4 months of steady upward wage momentum. So that's what we clearly see there as well. The White House put it plainly: inflation is down, income is up, and the trade deficit just fell by the largest amount on record. It's actually dropped by about half, and investors are responding, and so are voters. All of this comes just as President Trump's approval rating has been rising across multiple polls, and the timing shouldn't be a coincidence. When people feel secure in their paychecks, hopefully the direction of the economy, public sentiment shifts. It's not just the people, however. The Fed reported that inflation has fallen to a 4-year low. It's down to just 2.1% as of right now. And that puts J.D. Vance in a really good position for the 2028 presidential election. If he's able to galvanize a base of voters from the economic success of the Trump administration, and especially running against Kamala Harris once again, you could see a 2028 matchup where J.D. Vance improves from Donald Trump's performance in 2024, which is what I'm going to show you today. Looking at the Electoral College map, as of right now, we can see Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky are all in the safe Republican column, as well as Missouri, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, and Florida. These will all go in the safe Republican column as of right now. All of these states are over 12-point victories for their respective tickets. And so we can now see, let's go over here really quick and double check this so I could show you guys this. It's pretty cool how this is all set up here in the electoral forecast. I actually think if I were to go over here and republish this again, the margin should actually be a little bit different. So we're going to go ahead and actually check this out now with the new electoral map. But we can clearly see that all of those safe states that I mentioned are in the safe forecast, as well as Nebraska at large and Nebraska's first congressional district as well, including Alaska will also be in the over 12-point column. And Maine second, I actually don't think it's over 12 points. It could be like a 10, 11-point win. I suspect that Maine's first is probably the one that's actually slightly closer. So I don't think it's in the safe column as of right now. California, Oregon, Washington, Actually, Oregon doesn't even fall in the safe column anymore. We can see, Maryland, Delaware, Massachusetts, and Vermont. These are all above 12-point margins of victory, and so would the 1st Congressional District of Maine be, and Hawaii, which only puts Harris at 101 Electoral College votes in the safe Democratic column. We can see Maryland shifts about 5 points to the right from the last presidential election. You can see here that Kamala Harris got about 1.9 million votes in that election. You can see she's getting roughly about 1.8 million, give or take, somewhere a little bit less than 2024. And Vance has significantly increased his vote total in the state of Maryland by about roughly, give or take, like almost 200,000 votes from Donald Trump's performance, hence why he is improving from Trump's margin there. Massachusetts goes all the way down to just a 21-point win for Harris. That's another 4-point shift in the state. Harris won it by 25 points. You could see Harris is doing slightly better in Massachusetts than she did in the last election, but Vance has gained like 200,000 votes in the state, hence why he is performing significantly better there as of right now. And Vermont, it's roughly about the same as the last election, give or take. It might actually be, yeah, it's basically about the same as the last election. Not really anything too different as of right now. Harris is doing slightly worse there, and Vance is also doing like a little bit better in Vermont there. So that's the safe margin there. We can see in the likely Republican states, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada will be all in this column. We could see in the state of North Carolina that Vance gets about 3 million votes to Harris's 2.6 million. In the last election, Donald Trump got about 2.8 million. Harris got about 2.7 million. So Vance gains from Trump's raw vote total performance, whereas Harris actually drops quite significantly by like almost over 100,000 votes in that forecast, or like 500,000 votes. So that gives Vance an advantage in North Carolina and boosts his vote total quite significantly there. And in Arizona and Nevada, you see the Hispanic shift continue for Vance in this hypothetical scenario. Vance is winning by almost 11 points in Arizona. I mean, he's getting like 1.8 million votes there. Harris is like literally under 1.5 million. So that's really, really interesting to see that there. In Nevada, Vance is getting about 700,000 votes. So he's getting about 7.4, give or take 747,000 votes. So he's underperforming Trump by like 4,000 votes in the state. But Harris is like completely in the tubes in the state. She drops like basically like 70,000 votes in the state of Nevada. That probably comes from like Clark County and Washoe County. Their turnouts also going significantly down from the last election. That probably gives Vance an advantage in Nevada, where he turns it into a pretty solidly Republican state. It's not really even a swing state in this hypothetical. And then Maine second would go in that likely Democratic column, or Republican column. For the likely Democrat states, you have the states of Oregon, Colorado, New York, Connecticut, as well as Rhode Island in this hypothetical matchup. Delaware is in the safe column, by the way. We can see some of the most notable shifts here, as well as in Maine, by the way. So Maine is also in the likely Democratic column as well. Oh, actually, it's not. Never mind. It isn't over 6 points in this forecast. But these are the states that are 6 to 12-point wins for the Democrats. Harris wins Oregon by 11, so that's like a 3-point shift towards Vance. And we could see Vance cracks 1 million there, and Harris is getting about like 1.3 million. So she improves from the last election. Vance just gains a little bit more in the popular vote there, hence why he is gaining some ground in the state. Colorado drops to just a 7-point win for Harris. So that's a 4-point shift to the right from the last cycle. That actually is really interesting, because Harris is only getting she's getting 1.8 million in the state, but Vance gets 1.6 million. So both of their vote totals go up in the state of Colorado. Vance does have some appeal to some voters in the state of Colorado, especially some of those Hispanic type voters. So that is why you're seeing this shift away from the Democrats in this particular scenario. Vance also gets about 3.8 million votes in the state of New York. That is a 300,000 vote improvement from 2024. And then Harris is only getting like 4.4 million. So it's a 500,000 vote increase or net gain for Vance there. Connecticut and Rhode Island also see some significant shifts to the right as well. And so now looking at the lean Republican states, you have Wisconsin and Pennsylvania in that column, with Wisconsin being a 3-point win for JD Vance. So he does significantly better in the state. Both of the candidates gain votes from their last performances, but Vance is just about 100,000 votes ahead from Harris, and Vance gets about 3.8 million in the state of Pennsylvania, while Harris kind of maintains her performance. She does like 20,000 votes better, but Vance continues to gain raw vote totals in Pennsylvania and hence puts him quite ahead in Pennsylvania, like 5.5%. I mean, that's a huge improvement. That's basically like a 4-point improvement from the last election from Donald Trump. And we see that, you know, that really puts him ahead. Georgia, about a 3-point win for Vance there. So you can clearly see that, I mean, you know, it's a very small shift towards Vance. Trump won it by 2.2% in the last election. You could even see that Vance isn't even getting as many votes as Donald Trump got. He actually gets like 500,000 less votes, but Harris drops significantly more, and there's a slight turnout differential there. And so Georgia is now a 3-point margin of victory for JD Vance in the state of Georgia. So the turnout in Georgia does drop quite significantly as of right now. Even in a place like Florida, a sidetrack here, I mean, Harris gets 4.3 million in this one. Vance gets like 6.2. So he gains from Trump's raw vote total performance. But in Texas, he actually doesn't hit the same marker. Harris is the one that just drops quite significantly. So there are some turnout differentials across the board. But overall, the story is very clear. Vance wins with 297 in the Electoral College. And the biggest thing of all, looking at all the lean Democratic states, you have Minnesota, Illinois, Virginia, and Maine all being in this column. And yes, Illinois is a lean Democratic state in this timeline. Black turnout does drop quite significantly, hence why you see turnout drops in Georgia, South Carolina, and even parts of like Alabama, Tennessee. That's why a lot of counties with a lot of black population, they go down. And so because of that, Cook County's turnout goes down. And Harris is only cracking like 2.9 million in the state, and Vance is getting like 2.6 million. So that narrows up the state by like 5 points from the last election cycle. What's kind of interesting about Minnesota is that the turnout's basically the same. I mean, Harris does slightly better there, and then Vance does slightly better. But Harris gains like a little bit more from the last election. So she improves in the state by like 0.1%. So that's like the only state where Harris, one of the only states where Harris is actually improving. Because in Iowa and Ohio, she didn't improve. She didn't improve in Missouri. The only states on here that she's really improving as well is like Nebraska. Like that's about it. It's really like this kind of area here. Some of the gains are maxed out for Republicans. So that's why you may see like a reversion there. But like it's very minor shifts in some counties that are making that happen. And Minnesota tends to really like liberals quite a bit. So that's why she is still gaining there. New Jersey is in the tilt Democratic column with New Mexico. They are both under 2-point wins. You know, Vance comes really close in New Mexico. I mean, he's only losing the state by like 17,000 votes. New Jersey, it's like a 50,000 vote difference, something like that. They're very, very close. And the last state that we have. And then Nebraska second is obviously is in the likely column at over 6 points. The last two states here for Vance are Michigan and New Hampshire. Michigan actually doesn't shift that much to the right because of older voters shifting to the left towards the Democrats. And so Vance does gain in Michigan by like 0.4%, but it's not as much as like Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. And New Hampshire is the one singular flip on the map here for JD Vance. He manages to pick off the state of New Hampshire. New Jersey would be the one that falls next, potentially. Maybe New Mexico would be the one that ends up going. But as of right now, you do have JD Vance at 316 electoral college votes to Harris's 222 electoral college votes. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And I will see you guys in the next video.